Today, I'm joined by two very wise men, two very experienced people who are here to share their experiences, and I'm very excited. This will be the first episode of our new podcast called My Grandfather's Road. Your Grandfather's Road. It's still a work in progress, but it's most likely your grandfather's road. Somebody's grandfather's road.
Fine.
But today, we are joined by two very, very wise people. Our president, hopeful, Mr. Ng Kok Song. Introduce yourself.
Thank you. Well, I'm Kok Song. I remember my grandfather. He lives in Kangkar, in Upper Serangoon Road, the fishing village where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought the whole kampong was my grandfather's kampong. Not only the road, but the whole kampong.
Cool. So you get it. And the second person is actually my co-host for the rest of this show. It is my father, Mr. Edmund Tan.
Oh, thank you. And first of all, a warm welcome to Kok Song, to Titan. It's our pleasure to see you and have you talk over a lot of issues, so that people will understand you better.
Yes.
In the run-up to the election.
Yes.
Amazing.
So welcome.
So my dad and Kok Song have been talking a lot for the past 15 minutes. And it made me very nervous because we feel like we have to quickly roll the cameras before we begin, before you all keep talking, and then we miss out all the exciting conversation. So tell us, what were you all talking about?
A lot of things. It was basically to introduce each other somewhat,
Okay.
And I think, you know me, I always enjoy a good conversation.
You do.
And
You're pretty good at this PR
Kok
thing.
Song is just the right guy where I can start,
So we were talking about our time in public service.
So I would like to give everybody some context first.
Yeah.
Mr. Ng Kok Song is the president hopeful. He's running against 3 other people. I'm pretty sure everybody here who's watching it should know that by now. But just in case you didn't, we have a dad, a son, and a president hopeful.
Thank you.
Yes.
And to give everyone some context as well, my dad, Mr. Edmund Tan, has also been in the public service
Yes.
for 38 years.
Yes.
I'm not even 38 years old.
Yeah.
So you've been
course.
working for longer than I've been alive.
Yes.
Yes, I think this is a very is coincidence that Edmund and I both work in the public service.
Yep.
Because as I'm standing for election, for the presidential election, there's a lot of confusion in the public's mind about what is establishment,
Right.
what is public service, what is political service, what is independence.
Yes.
So both of us, we've spent a long career, 38 years. I spent 45 years. It is time in Singapore for us to have an improved political governance of our country, by which I mean we need to find a way to balance, the concentration of power. So a first step in that direction would be for the presidency to be apolitical, to rise above politics.
Is this something that you always felt like you wanted to do, or you realized that recently it's your calling that you have to rise to this role?
It is a calling. And it came about because of three events.
Okay.
Over the last 4 months. The first event was when I was invited to participate in a series of interviews like this.
Okay.
About the national reserves of Singapore. People were interested. Why do you say that the reserves are strategically important for Singapore? So I had to explain that our financial reserves is part of our total defense in times of war. I said, in times of economic crisis, the pandemic, global financial crisis, we have to insulate our economy. We have to protect jobs, and we have to give relief to the lower income. So it's like rainy day. So when the sun shines, you save money for a rainy day. And then thirdly, I think Edmund and I know that the reserves is why our currency is so strong. When we separated from Malaysia, Edmund, you remember, $1 Singapore dollar and 1 ringgit the same.
Yes.
But today, $1 Singapore dollar is 3.5 ringgit. And that is very important because it helps to keep down our cost of living. It protects our CPF savings, right? So I was answering all those questions and other questions they asked. How are the reserves? Benefit spent a long time, 7 or 8 hours, sharing with the interviewers, explaining to them, because they wanted the people of Singapore to understand all these things. So at the end of the interview, I say, I'm one of the few people still alive because I started in 1970, right? Maybe one of the few people who understand the nature of the reserves, having worked to build up our reserves, having worked to build up the GIC. And then the second event that made me decide was because this year, this September, next month, we're going to commemorate the 100th birthday to honor Mr. Lee Kuan Yew.
Okay.
And then how better than to come forward even at 75 years old to serve the country.
Okay, so Papa, how old are you this year?
Well, I'm going 66 actually by October. So we are about
10 years. It's a 10-year difference.
Yes.
And you've been retired for
maybe 5.5 years.
5.5 years?
Yeah, 5.5.
I haven't asked you this personally, but how do you feel about retirement?
Good. I think it's good for the soul, especially when you were in quite a strenuous job.
Yes.
Handling a lot of very responsible things. Of course, that sort of break is always good. Yes. But again, I think when you look at it very, very objectively, like what you say, if the mind can push on and engage itself in even more interesting arenas, why not?
Yes.
If you have the physical, mental energies for it.
Yes.
So I think
So is this something you would have
age has
considered?
no bounds.
Is this something you would have considered?
What
To
presidency?
run for the president?
Why is the focus on me? It should be on Kok
No,
Song.
on the topic of that.
Maybe when I finish my 6 years, you can come in.
Okay, I can consider after that. but since you pose this question, I would take a different view from Kok Song. No disrespect to him, but I have different things. Yeah, I think there are two things that would run against me going for the presidency.
Yes.
If ever there was.
Is it your passion for table tennis?
Not only
You want to be a
passion.
table tennis Olympian, right? That's what it is.
No disrespect to you again. I value my privacy very much and my freedom.
Yes.
Friends, family members, and even my coffee kakis will know me as somebody who enjoys very simple things in life. Yes. We go hunting for the best food in the hawker centers in the whole of Singapore. I love Ke Thai shows, even to this day. I do live band music.
Yes.
Chinese one.
Yes.
And of course, table tennis, I do it 4 times a week. So it's
A
difficult
president
to
can
give.
do that. A president can do that.
I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. You know that
I'm
sounds
sure-
like
so you-
sounds
okay,
like a
I'm pretty sure the president will
president's
have.
daily routine. Okay, the other thing is this. I think we must know ourselves. I don't think that I have that sort of will and determination, and even if I may say poise, to do a job that is probably a very, very serious, important one.
Yes.
Wasn't your job important and serious? Like
Serious, but
it
you
looks
know-
serious
You
to
know,
me.
when you're retired, you want to look for, the
the chill
final
life.
the final pleasures in life, which you could have been missing when you were working. This is my issue.
Yes.
I mean it works with different people.
So
Yeah.
you mentioned being in the limelight and you prefer to keep your privacy to yourself.
Yes.
So my question to Kok Song would be, for the past 2 months, you have been in the limelight. Has your feeling about being in the media changed? And how has it changed you?
Well, I mean, if I were not standing for the president, I would prefer to keep my life private.
Yeah.
And especially my relationship with my fiancée, Sybil. Because my private relationship is private.
Of course.
It's nobody's business.
Has it affected your relationship in any way?
No, I think we are aware that that people are interested, because we suddenly become everybody's business.
Yeah.
They want to know. All right. So we accept that as the intrusion into our privacy as the price to pay when you want
Surely.
to stand
I think
for the presidency.
that is quite a high price to pay by my own reckoning.
It is.
It
Es-
is.
Especially for my fiancée Sybil,
Yes.
because I have been not in the political limelight, but I'm quite well known in financial circles,
Right.
internationally.
I think you
so-
can handle the intrusion into privacy
yes,
better
yes,
than her,
yes,
as we also could see from
yeah.
all the social media forums
That's right.
about Sybil. Is she's very
Yes,
quiet and reserved,
yes,
yet I think she is firmly and quietly supportive of you.
yes,
And I would think that it's always tough if you were a very private person, and then you're faced with all this
is
sort of
right.
exposure,
yes,
and
yes.
how far you want to take this
That's right.
too.
Yes,
So I think
Yeah,
you should
because-
be very fortunate that you have a
Yes.
fiance that is standing by you
yes,
in such tough circumstances to her,
yes,
actually.
yes,
Huh?
indeed. And I also sympathize with Mrs. George Goh, Mrs.
I think
Taman.
same.
They are all subject to the same scrutiny.
Yes.
Everything they do in the public, people all watching. I got very excited about the possibility and the potential of social media. You see, and I'm learning something.
Are you enjoying social media? Did you expect yourself to
Very much.
enjoy
It would look
social
like
media?
it looks like
I can see that it really takes communication to a higher level. Not to a lower level, to a higher level, in the sense that you have to condense your messages. You have to think carefully what you're going to say, because the attention span of the viewers and the listeners is shorter.
especially the TikTok
Yes.
version,
Yes.
which is really something,
So I was I'm learning, but I'm,
You've seen me grow on social media for the past 12 years.
yes.
From YouTuber to Instagram, TikTok. And one of the things that comes with social media is, of course, hate comments, criticism. Whether it's anonymous, whether it's somebody behind the camera, there will always be people just saying negative things. And I would like to ask you, Kok Song, how do you deal with that? Because I realized in the early stages, when I first went through this, I was very affected by it. And I think I can speak for a lot of people who've been on this social media journey.
Yes.
Just spending time reading negative comments, it could be really detrimental to your mental health.
Yes.
And there are people who, well, me, of course, included at the beginning, where I would read comments and there could be 100 positive comments. But that one negative comment will get to me and it will stick in my mind the whole day.
Yes.
So of course, after doing it for 12 years, I'm much more immune now. But I also realized that I've seen my dad, and I'm not sure if he knows this, but I've seen him make anonymous accounts to respond to the haters. And I know it's my dad.
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about that?
No, when I read, I see something quite unfair, quite unkind.
Yes.
I feel so tempted to respond to it, to correct the situation. Not so much to show my annoyance and then explode. No, to correct that impression.
Yes.
I think it's important. I think this is what an exchange should be about.
Yes.
It's just not one way. You have to. You feel you're entitled to say something. Now I feel I'm entitled to counter it,
Yes.
to explain things to you,
Yes.
so that you know things.
Yes.
It's not just all lopsided.
Yes.
This was
That's why
always
you
been-
remember Mr. Lee Kuan Yew says, you can criticize me, but I have the right to reply.
Sure, and I think that should form the cornerstone of the things we do on social media.
Yes. But it's very difficult because if somebody is malicious, out to scar your name,
Yeah,
no amount of rebuttal
yeah.
is going to
In
help.
fact, some friends tell me that why waste your time? They are just trying to get you peeved.
I have a few comments here
Yes. Wonderful.
from TikTok,
Huh.
which if I were you, I would be like,
Yes.
man, these type of people, I gotta start meditating. So, I will give you the honor to respond to some of the TikTok comments.
Okay.
Take it
And
easy.
you can read it. Take it easy. Take it easy. You can, get him some water.
You can
Okay.
start by starting a YouTube channel on meditation. Much easier than running for president. Yes. The moment I finish my presidential campaign,
You will start.
regardless of whether I win or not, I want to start this.
Okay, I mean,
Hooray,
I could
hooray,
help with that. I
hooray.
could help with that.
We have no issue with that.
You are the most popular candidate on social media with a lot of TikToks going viral. So do you feel that this could positively affect your presidential campaign?
Yes. Because how else do I reach out to the younger generation?
And do you feel welcomed by the younger generation?
Very much so. Very much so. I mean, the fact that people are following me, are viewing my video. I mean, any politician or any presidential candidate will die for that.
That's
To
true.
be listened to enable you to communicate your message.
I guess after this, if it doesn't work out, you can be an influencer.
For good. For good.
Why not?
Meditating
Why not?
influencer.
Yes.
Why not?
Yes. Yes. What's the point of
I mean,
being,
you already are anyway.
Yeah. What's the point of having a following if you're not leading the followers to something better?
Yeah.
That's what I try to do as well.
Yes.
So who's your favorite TikToker?
Hmm?
Do you have time to watch TikTok?
I watched some of the videos, right? Not much, but now I'm going to make sure I watch every day,
You can watch.
He
I'm
wanted
sure
to,
I'm
you
sure you
to
watch
say
him.
it's Jian Hao that you're watching.
No.
No, I'm kidding.
yes.
I'm kidding.
Come on, it would be
No,
weird if he
no,
spends
yeah,
his time
right.
watching Jian Hao Tan videos.
Correct.
You are the YouTube king
Okay.
Thank you.
of Singapore and maybe of Asia.
Yes.
How wonderful,
Thank you.
right? people know Chief Investment Officer of GIC, you can rise to the same level and be known internationally.
Today, all three of us have something in common, and that is that we are a father. We are parents. And to be honest, today I came in a bit heavy-hearted because my daughter right now is at the hospital. She has some RSV. It's a virus that's been going around. And I've been going back and forth to the hospital and home and work lately. But it's something that we have to do as parents. So I was just interested to hear more about your parenting style and how do you feel about parenting? You have 3 kids.
Yeah,
2 daughters and 1 son.
that's right. My son now is, he's 50 years old. My first daughter is 47. My second daughter is 33. So the second daughter came 14 years after her sister. So parenting, my wife and I, our guiding principle for parenting was that we want our children to be happy. To be happy, not necessarily to be successful. Because sometimes you confuse the two. You think that you can be happy only when you are successful.
But was that for all 3?
Yes.
So was there no different standard for
No.
the guy perhaps?
No, because because we discovered from our own experience that when the children are happy, we are happy.
Sure.
You know? So I think that is very important. So what does that mean? That means that in order for the children to be happy, you have to let them be. Let them choose what they would like to do as long as they are responsible and not being lazy. But you should let them choose what they want to do, what they want to study, what job they want to take.
How do you define lazy? Like just chilling, finding some friends?
Well, I mean, you tend to...
How would you describe lazy? There must be a spectrum.
We tend to use the performance metric of examination results. All right?
Okay, so we're talking when they're slightly younger.
May not necessarily be a good metric because it depends on the child's innate ability. So as long as the child is making progress, improving, all right, that is more important than expecting them to be first or second in class. Right? So I found that guiding principle has served my wife and I very well. As a result of which, I think my children have grown up relatively happy because they have the freedom to be themselves. They don't have to conform to the parents' expectations of them, because sometimes we feel that we should guide our children, all right? I think we should guide them in terms of character, but not in terms of choices of what they want to study or what sort of jobs they should have.
Have you ever thought of bringing your kids into your family business?
No, because that would not necessarily be what they want to do. So they must find their own path in life, right? So, I mean, I was in finance, and so when the children were young, I would bring them to my office. So they went to my office, and then they observe what I do, which is when I get to the office, I turn on the Bloomberg machine, look at the market rates, stock prices, bond prices, what's financial news. And then I call my staff in to have a discussion about investment strategy, find out what's going on. Then I make a few phone calls, to people in the market, to people who are transacting for us. And then after 2 or 3 hours, I say, okay, children, let's go for lunch. And they will say, you mean, Dad, that's what you do? That's your job? And they pay you so much for doing so little?
Why not?
So I realized that. So my son said, no, Dad, I don't think I want to do this kind of thing. So my son, he was very interested in transport. He had a hobby, about the Singapore bus system. So he was quite crazy to the point where he would go to the bus stop in those days and they have tickets. he will pick up the bus tickets from the floor. He will bring them home, iron them,
Oh,
and then arrange them.
he's a bus enthusiast.
Yes.
He has statues of bus. Does he have models of buses at home?
Yes. He collects them, and not only that, he memorizes the bus route number. He memorizes the bus plate number. So when you are interested in something, you must say, obsessed with it. But I encourage him. So he spent the weekends taking buses all over the island in order to develop an encyclopedic knowledge of the bus system. So as a result, he went to work for Comfort Delgro, Singapore Bus Service. He became the network planner,
Okay.
until he retired recently, and he's now a consultant. He's an international consultant for other countries who want to develop their bus system. And I'm very happy that he found his niche.
It's a very special niche.
That's right.
Speaking of visiting your parents' office, I remember when you brought me to your office once. It was at the Cambodian. It's the Singapore Embassy in Cambodia. And I remember there was a fish tank. There was your fish.
Yeah.
And I don't remember or know what you actually did.
I was always a fish enthusiast.
Yeah, he's a fish enthusiast.
And first thing I brought them to in the office was to show them the aquarium tank. The arowana.
Yes.
I think simple pleasures in life.
Yes.
Yes. Can make you quite happy.
I spent like 3 hours there just playing with the photocopy machine.
Maybe I can talk a little bit about parenting
Yes.
from my own perspective.
This is great. I never heard you talk about it. Let's go.
We must, because this is storytelling time. When I was a kid, my father was quite strict. So he had very clear notions of what I should be. That I should be a civil servant. Yeah, see, that's why I ended up a civil servant. But
It sounds like you.
Yeah, but jokes aside,
I'm not joking.
he felt that, in those days, these people from the traditional families, they felt that if you landed up a very secure job, stable job in the civil service, it brings glory to the family. And there are such notions.
Yes.
Our time, I'm sure you
going
can
back to the
empathize with that.
Chinese tradition.
I'm sure you can. Yes, right. So I kept to my promise to do well in my studies, and then went on to serve in the civil service. But things I saw were changing over even in my era. You can't subject the kids to that kind of conformity anymore. For at least that's how I see it. So when parenting came for me, Chen Hao and Kaylee, it was a different ball game.
Yes.
Basically, like you, I let them do what they want or wanted. The idea was simple. I mean, if you see the kids happy, you are happy.
Yes.
Right? And then maybe in my case, there was also a little bit of a sense of guilt because I uprooted them from Singapore at a very young age to go to my first diplomat job in Phnom Penh. So Jenna was a little over 7 years old.
Yes.
And Kaylee was a little over 5 years old. They were really uprooted.
Yes.
And guess what? They spent 11 to 12 years.
When you were on mission.
When I was in Cambodia and Vietnam.
Yes.
So that is always behind my mind that you didn't really ask their permission to bring them out.
Yes.
And at one go is 11, 12 years. And they had to survive in a completely different environment, different educational system,
Yes.
everything that is actually alien to them.
Yes.
You know, the first 1 month that we were living together, just that first 1 month when we were in Cambodia, they were just crying out in just very all
Homesick.
of a sudden
We were homesick.
were so homesick, tears rolling down their cheeks,
Yes.
and they want to go back.
You were 5 years old at that time?
No, I was
No,
7.
Jian Hao was
at
slightly
7,
over
taken
7.
out of Singapore
Yeah.
suddenly.
So
To go to
this
Cambodia.
against their will. So I think there has got to be very much empathy in my children's case. So I let them do
Yes.
what they want.
Yeah.
Of course, I always try to impress upon them that a civil service job is also not bad. Okay,
Yes.
not a must, but not bad.
Impress.
Yeah.
You know, and
So I think what you say, Edmund, is that, sometimes how much freedom we have from our parents actually depend on the family circumstances.
really.
Everyone's talking about your love life. It is quite interesting to see a dynamic like this. I think it definitely played a part in the popularity of your presidential campaign. So can you tell us a bit more about your relationship with Sybil?
With Sybil?
Yeah.
Ah.
Sybil.
Well, my wife died 18 years ago when we were both 57 years old. So my wife was my first and only love,
First love.
because we met in school. We
How
met
long
in
was that
school,
relationship?
in Montfort School.
Mhm.
Our marriage was 32 years, 33 years, but we met when we were 18 years old in school, fell in love in school. How we fell in love was that our school was, at that time, beginning to be a co-ed school. Girls were coming to Montfort School in Upper Serangoon. So Patricia came to my school, and I was in the science class, she was in the arts class, 1 year junior to me. So I met her and I just fell in love with her at the age of 18. But initially I was quite guarded about this, because she's a town girl, uptown girl, you call it, and I was from a poor village. So I wasn't quite sure whether she would be interested in me. But then to my shock, one day she paid an unannounced visit to my house.
You had that unspoken race.
Unspoken?
Unspoken race. It's a TikTok. It's TikTok lingo. You learn it.
Oh,
Unspoken race.
So I was not very happy that she came to visit, because my house I've got brothers and sisters who were toddlers. And it's a hut, not even a house, right? So I was a bit ashamed, right? Embarrassed. So I asked her, I said, how come you came to visit without telling me? So she realized that I felt embarrassed. So she said, Kok Song, why are you embarrassed? There's nothing to be ashamed of. You are poor. Your father made an honest living to take care of you all. Nothing to be ashamed of. So at that moment, I realized what sort of a woman, what sort of a girl she is. Character. Didn't look down on me, So our love blossomed, and then we got married. And so anyhow, we found to our shock that she had cancer in 2003, when we were both 57 years old. 55 years old, actually. And I took care of her. I took time off from work to care for her, take her on every visit to the doctors, for her chemotherapy, for her radiation, for surgery. And then would spend time when she's not going to the hospital, we just go to the East Coast Park and sit down on the beach with a mat, and we just talk about the times when we were young in school, talk about the children. We were just spending very precious time together during that 19 months. So when Patricia passed away, I was not grieving because I had the opportunity of caring for her, and she told me, in fact, actually her testimony is in one of the famous YouTube videos. It's called From Panic to Peace. From Panic to Peace. If you have a chance, go and look at that video.
Okay. I will look into it.
Because that was filmed actually in New York, and we made it into a YouTube video which has had quite a marked effect on many people's lives. The meaning of love, So Patricia died on Valentine's Day, 2005. So having received so much love from Patricia over that 32 years since we met in school, I said I probably would not have another relationship again. I met Sybil after having been a widower, being single for 14 years. So how did I meet Sybil? Well, maybe we should ask Sybil the story. But
No.
But what happened was one day I was having lunch at a hawker stall in Joo Chiat. And then a friend of mine, his name is Chong, he approached me and said, "Oh, Kok Song, I haven't seen you for a long time. How are you?" He said, "Hey, Kok Song, can you do me a favor? I have a friend who would like to meet you." So I said, "Who is this?" So he says, "Her name is Sybil Lau. She has been living in Singapore for many years. Her parents live in Vancouver. She visits them every other month, but most of the time she's in Singapore. And she's an investment professional, and she invests her family's foundation money, Chang family from Hong Kong." So at that time, I had just started my investment management business, having retired from the GIC. So on my mind was family foundation. Maybe it's a potential client.
Yeah.
Business
first.
So I said, "Yes, please bring her to my office. I would like to meet her." So Chong brought Sybil to my office, but the moment I saw her, I forgot about my business pitch.
Natural.
I was distracted. So anyway, we had a long conversation, and so they left, and I said, "I want to meet her again. I want to have a date with her." So I asked John, "Can you give me her contact number? And this time you don't come. I just want to meet Sybil privately." So we had lunch together.
Get out of my way.
Yeah, we had lunch together, and at that second meeting, I realized that I was falling in love again. And so Chong told me, by the way, she's single. And then he told her, because he's her mutual friend,
you are also single.
I'm available.
That's what.
So that's how our love, started.
And you've been together for 4 years?
Yes. Coming to 4 years.
The age gap is 30 years old.
Yes.
Is that a challenge for you?
It was a challenge for me, but not for Sybil. She didn't think about that. I was concerned that whether she'd be interested in me, So I was...
Because I'm just trying to think about like the challenges that someone would face if you were 30 years older than your partner. I mean, if I was 30 years older than my partner, she would have to be just born this year.
Just for information,
Yeah.
but Mom, my wife, is 10 years younger than me.
I see. I see.
And
I think
I have absolutely no problem with that.
yeah. I think you need to have a certain perspective of numbers.
Yeah.
All right. So what do I mean? What I mean to say is, all right, I'm 75, Sybil is 45. So 30 years. All right. What is 30 years? All right. Out of 75. All right. So it's a matter of proportion. You see? So definitely, if you are 50 and then
That would
your
be
girlfriend
20.
is 20, it might be. But I think the key point is 45.
So you worked out the
45
equation in
is
your
a
head.
middle-aged woman.
As long as you feel happy, I think that's what matters, right?
Yes. So I mean, and we found we had a common interest in investments.
Yes.
And then slowly, but I discovered that it is my good fortune to meet someone, my two of my best friends, who Sybil have met over a while, over a year or so. They interacted with Sybil, and Mr. Kok Song, you're so lucky because you found BBC,
Which is
beauty, brains, and character.
brains.
Yes.
Okay. Not beauty beast.
I'm the beast.
Amazing.
Maybe before we go, Kok Song, let me ask one more question. If, touch wood, if you do not make it to the presidency after so many weeks or months of laboring, what's next steps? What would you go into or go back into?
I've come forward to stand for the presidency because I feel that I've got a calling to serve the people of Singapore one more time. That what I'm doing is good for Singapore. So when the election is over, there's one clear winner, and that is the people of Singapore. That they have won the opportunity to exercise their right to vote. That is the sure winner. All right? If I win, it is the highest honor that my country can give me. But it's an honor for me to be able to serve the people of Singapore one more time in my career. If I do not win, I'll be very happy for whoever wins because they would have won a mandate from the people of Singapore. I will go back to my company and make my company the homegrown Singapore investment management company.
Sure.
So in other words, I can continue to contribute to Singapore
Yes.
in a different way.
You must.
Yes. So that is quite clear to me. Right? So the important thing is you've come forward to serve. If you do not always say, no, I've stopped serving, then that is not true service. So we all want to continue to serve whatever the circumstances.
Would you consider going into politics?
No, I think it's...
Form a political party?
It is too late. It is too late.
Knock yourself into parliament?
No.
And then make it count in a more direct way.
He wants to start a YouTube channel for meditation.
Yeah, of course, you can still do that.
Let him chill.
There's nothing that stops you from doing that.
I think
a lot of things can happen at the same time.
Yeah.
And still be doing his venture.
No, I think, Edmund, we have to be realistic.
True lah. Too many things on our hands.
You cannot. You have to focus
true.
on one thing to be able to do it well.
I'm just being provocative lah.
Thank you.
I think we end that on a very interesting note.
Yeah, let's end it here. It's been a joy today. I would have loved to share a lot of my stories as well, but it's been a joy to just listen to you, hear your experiences, and in fact, it's a joy for me to watch you connect with my father. It's very rare that I get a chance to see my dad speak like this
In
or
action,
to speak in action
in full action.
or speak to someone.
Thank you so
full
much.
stride.
My pleasure to
The
my
full, in
pleasure.
full stride.
Yeah.
Usually when we are just on a dinner table and he starts going on about all the stories, I'm like, all right, I gotta do work. I gotta do work.
Storytelling, only lopsided,
No.
But it's been a joy. Thank you so much for coming here to share
Thank you.
share your life, your experiences.
And I should add that this forum actually is good, as I see it, in that we have less constraints with time,
Yes.
and then we actually have the time
Yeah.
to sit and just chat
Yeah. In a relaxed
casually
way.
in a relaxed way.
Yes.
And
And
no
also
holds barred,
talk
and
about
then that
meaningful things.
meaningful. Even if not meaningful, it's
So just being
of
together.
some sense being together. Yeah,
befriending.
correct.
Being
And then
friends.
Chin Hao has at least a window into
Yeah.
how we senior citizens think
Yes.
and not think. And I think that's a win-win situation
you.
for everybody, isn't it?
Thank you, Edmund.
Yeah,
Thank you,
yes,
Chinna.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank
It's
you
been
so
a joy
much.
to have you.
Yes.
And good luck
Yes,
for your
and
presidential
definitely
campaign.
good luck.
Come on, we gotta wish him good luck.
Yeah.
Do your best, man.
Do your
Give it the
best.
shot
Yes.
And
that you
Yes.
were waiting for, man.
Yes. Yes.
and thank you for what you're doing for our nation.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Chinna. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Professor.
you.